Morning, VC. Been a few weeks. The pollen here in town is absolutely bonkers and messing with me. Not feeling the best at all. So I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can. There are a lot of records, of course, it's been a few weeks. So we'll get into it. The first record I got from a gentleman in Michigan who's supplied me all my Farouk Z Bay records. He's got some connection to the band. But this was a record in his personal collection, really cheap. I was happy to get it. Pat Patrick and the Baritone Saxophone Retinue Sound Advice, the Art Yard label from 2015, obviously a reissue. This was an Al Saturn release in 1977, but there are 8 baritone saxes going off on this, accompanied by some drums, bass, and conga, and Hilton Ruiz on piano. A live set, not the best sound quality, but really good playing. I really dig it. Pat Patrick, of course, from Sun Ra Orchestra, but he has alongside Renee McLean, Charles Davis, James Ware, just to name a few of the guys, also on baritone. Great sounding instrument, unique album. Fantastically presented by Art Yard and in the collection now. Very happy with that. Next up, from Wallace Records up in the Boston area, this came off the wall there. Thanks to Mr. Belson, of course. Andrew Cyril, What About, on the BYG Actuel label and original from 1969, France copy. This was a really good price because there is some coffee stain on the side of the record. He asked if that was a problem. I said, no, it gives it some character. It's probably Parisian classy coffee that got spilled on there. And he said, yeah, it did come from Europe, this collection. So anyway, the record's mint, so it doesn't affect play at all, obviously. So who cares about the coffee stain? I don't. And been on a surreal kick lately, so this absolutely slays. Fantastic free jazz. Speaking of free jazz, this is a record I've been looking for a long time. One popped up in the States at Academy, so I jumped on it. Anthony Braxton solo live at Moore's Festival on the Ring Records label, recorded in 1974, and there was the picture of the gathering there in Germany. Really good stuff. 6 cuts, and yeah, released in 76. So this is catalog number 01002. This was a short-lived label due to the fact that there was a label with the same name in Canada that sued them. So all of the records under Ring Records had to be pulled. So they're difficult to find in the States, not so much difficult to find in Europe, as a lot had already been distributed. But some of them go for a lot of money. There's a 3 LP Braxton I'd love to get to that has a full group, but it's really spendy, so that one's going to be a difficult one. But yeah, this is a really cool record, and in great condition, mint LP. I'll show you the label's pretty plain. Ring Records they did stay in business and change the label name to Moore's Music, I believe is what it is now, or what it was. And I have a few LPs on that label as well. Most of those I've found at Bop Shop up in Rochester. But yeah, really good one there. Next, I did get a small dig in at Repo a few weeks ago. I haven't been out to the shops much this year. I think I've been in Lunchbox once with Zonkman all year. This might be only the second time I've set foot in Repo, and I haven't even been to Noble yet at all. Just haven't been out. And right now I really don't want to be out with this pollen. It's fucked up. But I pulled a few records, and Steve hooked me up, and so a couple of them really ended up being free. This is one of them, Scriabin, 4 piano sonatas. Black Mass is performed by Igor Zhukov on the Melodia label from Russia. Fantastic cover that drew me in, and really good stuff. I've had to clean it a few times. It is still a little bit noisy for a sonata record, but it's going to stay in the collection. Really good music. And then this was inspired by Brandon Faust in the Head. He had picked up some belly dance records, I think in Pittsburgh or locally. This is Belly Dance Spectacular Rhythms from the Middle East on the EMI Parlophone label. This is a 1974 Greece pressing of, I think it was originally released in Lebanon. And this is absolutely fantastic. This was, I think, $5, but I think I ended up getting it at no charge. Yeah, really, really good. We'll show you the label. The cover is not in the best of shape, but the record plays fantastic, and it's got the original insert. I have some other records on this label. I think they're also belly dance records, but this is the Parlophone. Great stuff. Happy to find that. They've got a interesting little section now at Repo with a lot of stuff like this. Most of it really cheap. Pulled this. This is a pretty wide variety of stuff here. Pulled this out of the country section. Songs sung by Johnny Cash, accompanied by the Tennessee Three. I Walk the Line. This is a promo original, and none listed on Discogs as far as promos go for this. So I was happy to find this at a really good price. Of course, I Walk the Line, This Town, This Side of the Law, Flesh and Blood, some really good cuts on this. I think Gregory Peck was in this flick. Really cool find. One you don't see very often. And then this one was inspired by Mr. Carlson, and also Mr. Winebender, one of his favorite groups. Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance. This is an original 1982 copy in VG Plus cover mint record. I couldn't pass on this. It was $18. They had reissues of this sealed, like brand new reissues for $22. Do the math. So this came home, and some of the guitars definitely sound dated, but great playing. Rob Halford is killer on vocals. He makes this band for me. I had Turbo on cassette when it came out. I never had this one. This was one I always wanted when I was a kid, and so finally picked up a copy. Getting my metal fix there. Got some VCLT here from Sherv. Thanks, man. He's been watching the flip videos, and this was one I was missing out of the Freddie Hubbard collection, and one that my friend Joe's had for a long time, and he had played it when I lived with him, and it's killer. This record slays. But I've only ever run into some weird reissues, so I've never picked it up, but it's the Hub of Hubbard, the BASF MPS label from 1972. This album is a cooker right here. Really, really good. One of my favorite Freddie Hubbard records, really. Richard Davis bass, Roland Hanna on piano. He's just completely underrated. Louis Hayes drums, Eddie Daniels on tenor, also underrated. This is complete fire. And then this record, which he showed me when I was out there in California, and was happy to get. Being a former trombone player, I was actually All-State in New York for a few years, All-State band, first chair, Albert Mangelsdorf, Tromboneliness on MPS. This is some interesting playing. There's sometimes on this record, his style, does some repetitive things. It almost sounds like the record is skipping, but it's not. It's just some of his playing style. This is very enjoyable listen. Very unique record. You don't get many solo trombone records out there. Yeah, Albert Mangelsdorf trombone solo from 1977. Now I'm going to get to some Grails. Here's one from Mono in LA. Tunji Olana and the Benders Double Face, or Oyalana. This is an original Nigerian pressing on EMI. The record is VG++, plays fantastic. The cover is VG as far as Nigerian records are concerned. So this was a huge one. This is just as good as any Fela Kuti you're ever going to hear. Similar style, and this one slays. Really excited to get this. And it was a quarter of what it goes for on Discogs. So that was huge. Next record I gotta think. Steve, the Zonk Man, he just happened to be in Durham and snuck into Carolina Soul, the physical shop, and asked me if there's anything I needed. And I recall seeing their posts on Facebook, the wall stuff they had recently, and I asked if this record was still there, and it was. So he kindly picked it up and mailed it to me. That's Johnny Thunders So Alone, 1978 original UK on the Real Records label. Iconic LP, don't need to say too much about it. Final Richie has said a ton about this record, and others. So, yeah, happy to have this in the punk collection. Killer find, and the record plays fantastic. This was a really good price. The record is VG+. Does have a few marks here and there, but everything cleaned up perfectly, and the covers also VG+. This is a great one. Thanks again, Zonk Man. You're the man. Back to Sherv. He in one of his recent videos highlighted the Cadence Jazz Records label, which I have a few records on, but for some reason I think I knew that their site was up, but anyway, he reminded me that their site is up at the least, and I went over there and grabbed the Frank Lowe Sextet, Schizoke, from 1981. Great free jazz album. Frank Lowe, of course, on tenor. Butch Morris is on cornet, underrated player. Wilbur Morris bass, just to name a few. This is a one I've been looking for a few years, and these are like under 20 bucks. So yeah, you can't go wrong. And it's all original first edition pressings that they still have dead stock of, which is unbelievable. The way things are in the vinyl world right now, you think they've all been scarfed up. So thank you, Sherv. Next is one that would have been up there for one of my albums of the year last year. Finally found a copy. It was from one of those crappy eBay sellers though, so it came damaged as far as the cover. They just don't know how to ship records for shit. But it's Meatwave, Malign Hex. Great freaking band from Chicago, 3-piece. This is some of their heaviest stuff that they've done. Really freaking good. Sam the Vinyl Douche, I think, would dig this band. Yeah, this is what pressed in France. This is on Swami Records, I believe. But yeah, I have a few of their other records. My friend Joe had turned me on to these guys. Underrated band. Just as good as any of the others in the scene right now. Yeah, the opening cut Disney is just a hard hitting freaking cut. I'll try to leave a link to a video or at least the audio for it here. off of YouTube, so highly recommend. This, again, would have been way up there for me for records of the year last year. Just was hard to get. And then finally, another Grail. This was the only record I got from Carolina Soul in their big auction they had a few weeks back. Andrew Cyril, there's that name again, with Milford Graves, Dialogue of the Drums, the first in this series on IPS. Very, very stoked to have this. And it runs the gamut of sounds that you can get from the kit. And it just gets more intense as the album wears on. Phenomenal LP. Very unique. Yeah, anything I can add in the Milford Graves collection is a big deal in this house. So yeah, that's what's come in. Hope you're doing better than I am. Fuck this pollen. Peace.